Even though it was entirely pointless and everyone stopped using it, I give Google Plus credit for at least working. Yes, working. And now I wish for it to be sent to a happy place and sent to a better world. So I actually recorded a video on this story the other day, but the lighting was really crappy, so I decided to reshoot this all over again. So, you know, Google Plus was like one of those social media services that I didn't really see the point of doing. And even though barely anybody uses it, in fact, I've got here in my notes that Google even admitted that 90% of Google Plus user sessions didn't last any more than 5 seconds. I think Google still just wanted to keep it along, even though, as a Facebook competitor, just so that Facebook could be in the social media space, and even though nobody was using it, they were just going to soldier on. Well, this wasn't how I wanted Google Plus to end, but I will say, even if Google Plus was more popular, I don't think what happened would shut down the service, but because barely anybody uses it, and even though Google really wants to keep it around, and I believe a lot of social media managers wanted to keep it going because, hey, it's a way of reaching people, and it's Google, so it'll go through their Google search engine. I figured, because of what happened, what I'm about to talk about, it was like the final nail in the coffin. So what exactly happened? Well, Wall Street Journal and Engadget have reported that Google had a data breach and they didn't want to tell anybody what happened. Now, there's a lot of notes on this story, so I'm going to be looking down on my iPad quite a bit for this video. So what exactly is going on is that Google Plus is shutting down in August 2019 following a massive data breach. And Engadget said that Google found out that there was a big bug in one of Google's People APIs that allowed developers to access data from Google Plus profiles that weren't marked as public, and Wall Street Journal said this occurred when anytime people logged in using Google Plus. And the data included names, email addresses, occupations, gender, and age. Wall Street Journal said that this did not include things like phone numbers, email messages, timeline posts, direct messages, or communication data. So basically, from what they know, any kind of conversations or any kind of conversations you may have had on Google Plus was not open for developers to touch, but any kind of personal information like names and email addresses and your occupation, gender, and age, unfortunately, shady developers may have gotten their hands on. And Wall Street Journal said that this bug would have given developers potential access to this data between 2015 and March 2018. Engadget said that Google patched this up in March 2018, but their internal lawyers advised Google not to tell anybody about this because they feared that if people found out, Google would be the same kind of scrutiny that Facebook is under, as you guys might know, with their Cambridge Analytica scandal. So Google said they believe up to 438 applications could have accessed the data. Google did say there's no evidence of developers accessing the data, but they said in a blog post here that they keep the information, they keep their log data for about 2 weeks. And I have a quote here that says, "We made Google Plus with privacy in mind and therefore keep this API's log data for only 2 weeks. That means we cannot confirm which users were impacted by this bug." So Google is just kind of going around saying, hey, technically nobody was impacted as far as we know, and their lawyers were trying to say the same, but then again, it sounds more like you're not even sure. I'm not saying that anybody got affected by this, but there is still that chance. And the whole thing where their lawyers are like, oh, well, nobody as far as we know got infected, so we don't have to tell them. That kind of philosophy sounds a lot like a person who says, I don't lock my house door when I leave and go somewhere, but nobody has ever robbed me before, so it's not like anything bad has ever happened to me. But Google, you should still come out and say that this happened when you discovered it back in March 2018. Now, Facebook is kind of having a similar problem right now. They're having their own data breach where about 30 million people got affected. But at least in their case, they didn't come out with specific. They at least said that something happened, and now we're just finding out that how many people exactly were affected and what kind of data was affected. And in that kind of a case, you could give Facebook a slight like pass. You can't give them a pass as a whole, but they are conducting an investigation. Whereas in the case of Google, it's like, we don't want to address it. We'll only address it when we get caught by the press, or if, God forbid, well, I'm saying God forbid, I'm not sure about Google, because I'm sure they're just more worried about their image and bottom line, that, we'll come out if like somebody said, hey, my information was compromised. So I think that's really shady of Google to have said, to have tried to hide this until they got caught when they were reported by the Wall Street Journal, like websites like the Wall Street Journal and Engadget. And in the case of Google Plus, I know some may say, had Google Plus not been dead already, maybe this wouldn't have happened. Which got me into thinking, does this mean that the developers, third-party developers, may have potentially had access to data from Google's other services like Gmail, YouTube, or Google Docs? I think Google's going to have to do a lot more explaining, because you have to use the same Google account to access all their Google services. One account gets you into Gmail, Google+, YouTube, Google Drive, and Google Docs. So I'm wondering, does that mean they might have also had access to their other services? I think Google has more to address. And in terms of Google Plus as a service, the reason why me and so many people are saying, why doesn't this service just die already? I, as well as many people, use a ton of social media services, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube. God, so many that I could name, LinkedIn. But at least all these services, even though they may have very similar features, all of them have basically the ability to post pictures, post status updates, and message your friends. They do serve at least one unique purpose that warrants me having an account with them. Like in my case, I use Facebook to communicate with my close friends and family, as well as posting on my Blood Moon Bobby Facebook page. But Facebook is the only place where a lot of like my friends, especially more distant people in my life, like family members, cousins, former classmates of mine, like that's the only place I could really reach out to them and ask, hey, what's going on in your lives. Twitter is where I mainly communicate with influencers. It's also where I post most of my status updates. Instagram is my main place for posting pictures, or using Instagram stories to post visual updates, which I also use Snapchat for. I often treat Snapchat like it's the visual version of Twitter, where instead of typing a status update, I'm taking a picture of me working on my latest video, or me going to a convention. And of course, I use LinkedIn for posting content for employers to check out, and it's where I do my job hunting. YouTube is where I post my videos. So all these social media services at least serve a unique purpose. You could also add in Slack. Like I used to use the messaging app Slack for communicating with my editors at my newspaper, and it's also used for, I'm sure other organizations use it for messaging their employees. But with Google Plus, what was there? It was basically just a Facebook clone. And in defense of Google Plus, I remember I learned about all these social networks in more detail when I was taking public relations class in college. My professor was saying, even though you guys may not use Google Plus all that much, it's a good place for SEO. It's a good place for the Google search engine to pick up your content. Now, I can't speak for all YouTubers. Like maybe there are some YouTube channels out there where one of their top 5 places where people find their content is through Google+. But at least for me, when I go diving into my YouTube analytics, and I'm not going to post specific information like any screenshots, because I don't think Google or YouTube would like it all that much. But in the case of like my YouTube channel, most people either find my content on the Google search engine or through YouTube. So, and Google Plus doesn't even come up as one of the sources where people find my content. Not saying nobody finds my content on Google Plus, but there are much more lucrative ways where people could find my content. So Google Plus doesn't even have that for me. to pick up on. Now, for people like me, as somebody who wants to get into social media management, it's not that I never want to learn how to use Google+, and it's not that Google+ is difficult to learn, it's just that it's another service you have to post content toward. Like, Google did say that even though they're shutting down Google+ for consumers, they're not shutting down Google+ as a service entirely. They said in a blog post that, hey, we noticed that a lot of enterprise customers like to use Google+, so in the coming days, we'll be announcing new tools for our Google+ enterprise customers. So pretty sure I'm still going to have to learn it when I eventually go looking for jobs. And I'm not saying I'm against it. It's just, it's another place where I have to post content. And frankly, I don't really see it. Maybe for some businesses, it's a good place to gain followers and communicate with customers. But as for me, there are much more lucrative ways to communicate with them. So I think just all in all, like Google should have really come out and said earlier. And by the way, even though Facebook is going through their own data breach problems, in their case, you know, because Facebook is their one product and it is easily the most popular social media network out there, it's not like the company is going to shut down because of this, but because barely anybody uses Google+, like I said earlier in the video, Google said that 90% of Google+ user sessions last for less than 5 seconds. Again, that may be just YouTubers, when they post content on YouTube, they have the option of also posting it on Google Plus at the same time, which I think that's what they mean. So I think between the data breach, you know, being the final nail in the coffin, and Google Plus just being a really redundant service with very few redeeming qualities, I think all of this means that Google Plus is shutting down for consumers. So all I can say, hey, is Google, well, it could have ended much better because of this data breach. Now, you know, potentially millions of customers, even, you know, we don't know for sure. I mean, who knows if they had their data, you know, accessed on, but it really should have just ended this way. I honestly think Google should, when they found out that 90% of users use the service for less than 5 seconds at a time, I really think that's when they should have realized, okay, it's a lost cause. You know, people, even when they post content on YouTube, they'll have other ways of using our services to post content. So I really hope Google does address things like, you know, were there other services compromised? Because that one Google account gets you into everything, like Google Plus, like Google Drive, like YouTube, and so on and so forth. So I think they've got a lot more explaining to do, but I am glad that Google Plus is ending for consumers. So, and even for the enterprise, you know, I'm sure a lot of businesses are going to be like, that could be potentially accessing our own data. I mean, who knows? Maybe they're going to switch over to things like Slack or Microsoft Exchange. But, you know, that's up to them. So please let me know your thoughts down below. Are you glad that Google Plus is dying for consumers? If you're an enterprise customer, are you going to be using it? Or are you going to be using different services to communicate with employees? Please leave all those thoughts below. If you have any ideas for future videos, please feel free to email me. My email address is in the description, and you can also leave them in the comments. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all later. Hey guys, be sure to like this Blood Moon Bobby video if you enjoyed it. Please share this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment. Be sure to ring the notification bell to be notified about my latest upload. Follow me on my social media pages at Blood Moon Bobby to find out about what I'll be covering next and for more of my opinions. Thanks for watching.